I
think
guess
we're live.
that's showing a number there, and that's my first time seeing that number on the screen. Okay, hello everybody. Good to see all of you all. Hope you all are doing fine on this beautiful what's the day? Is Saturday?
Yeah, this is Saturday.
Saturday evening. As you all can see, we're coming to you all from a different set or different location. We're live here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And we're here. Been basically the two funerals today.
Yeah, yeah. And Fred, I'm sure everybody is wondering, why we're here because you and I, we really haven't been traveling during this time.
No.
And the thing that has caused us to leave home, I think, today to travel, I think is very important.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when people paying your last respect to people. I grew up in North Louisiana. My mom and dad from a family of 14 kids, 9 girls, 5 boys. My mom, I used to tell people, my mom taught me how to love. My dad taught me how to lead. You all welcome. Y'all come on in and invite your followers and share the broadcast and do all that kind of stuff. We got a conversation going. I'm going to be talking about lessons I've learned from Bert. Lessons I've learned from Bert. And Bert Robinson was a dear friend and a mentor. And we're here in Baton Rouge to celebrate Bert. But my mom and dad taught me how to. Daddy always said, funerals are more for the living than they are for the dead.
What do you think your daddy meant about that?
Well, I think he meant this. He said that you always have an opportunity to put something into people when someone dies. Meaning, in other words, when you stand with people when they're going through one of the most difficult times in their life, when you stand with people during that season, you create a memory that will last forever. Okay, all right. You create a memory that will last forever, and I know that to be true because I remember when my mom passed years and years ago. It's almost like a photo memory of a photo of who was there.
Okay.
And I remember the people that show up. I remember the people that came by. And so when someone during this season, it's always important to show up for other people, the other family members, when they're going through that time because it produces a memory that will last forever. Okay?
Wow,
A memory that will last forever. Folks, we want you to go ahead and invite your followers and come on in. You're watching Worthology Live, finding your worth in the Word of God, finding your worth in the Word of God with myself and my wife here. And
Hi.
we just want to talk with you today about the lessons that I learned from a dear friend of mine, Bert Robinson.
Fred, how do you feel about learning lessons from those that we connect ourselves with?
Well,
Is that important?
if you ain't learning nothing, you're on the slow bus to nowhere.
So
If-
I remember a saying that you always said. It was something about if you are the smartest person in the room,
Yeah, you need to get in a different room.
you need to be in a different room. Yeah, so break that down to us and tell us how do you think that what does it have to do with friendships and those that we involve ourselves with?
Well, in life, there's only 2 kinds of people in the world: givers and takers. Givers and takers. Okay, somebody's giving and somebody's taking.
Okay.
But in life, the life cycle kind of goes like this. Everybody should have it. That's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll just talk.
Okay.
We'll just talk. If you do that, that'll make this work better.
Okay. He's talking about me sharing.
Well, I mean, you're trying to watch your phone here, and we're talking, and I just want y'all to come in, and y'all go ahead and put your comments in the chat box. Tell us where you're coming in from. Okay, so look, we see here Pam Myers here, Brad Mose was a wise man. Okay, hello, Dr. and Mrs. Jones. Okay, sorry for your loss, Renee Allison, Janae January, Brad. Hello, Brad. The most expensive thing you'll ever pay is attention to the wrong people.
That is true.
That is still true. Always be true. Now, what was your question before I kind of got
We're talking about you being the the smartest person in your group?
I've come to believe that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Coach Sherry, that is so real right there. It's kind of, we hear these lines, but some of those things are real. And what now? What now?
If you were the smartest person in your group and you were connecting with your friends, and I ask you that today because we are talking about one of a very dear friend of Fred's, that we're here celebrating his life today here in Baton Rouge.
If you're the sharpest person in the room, what about that? Okay, so here's the deal. Everybody needs somebody that we are learning from. You got to have a peer, a pal, and a pupil. Everybody should have a peer, a pal, and a pupil. Okay. A peer, somebody you look up to. A pal, somebody you run along with. And a pupil, somebody you pour down into. Jesus was there, there was those that he looked to. He looked to the Father. He walked along with the disciples, and he poured into the multitude. Okay, he modeled that: a peer, a pal, and a pupil. Okay. If you're going to grow, you need somebody around you that's going to always be constantly raising the bar. And Bert was one of those guys that raised the bar for me. He'd been where I was going. He had lived a fulfilled life as a father, as a husband, as a professor, as a minister. He did a whole lot of things, and I had the privilege of walking along beside him and walking behind him, and constantly reaching for levels of accomplishment that he had walked out. Okay. And so it was just so good to have him in my life as an example. While we preach what we believe, we reproduce what we are.
And would you say that he was a mentor? Could we say he was a mentor? Or it seems so much more than just a mentor that he was to you?
Now, you're talking about a word that people use a lot interchangeably: mentorship and discipleship.
Okay. Oh, wow.
There's a difference between mentorship and discipleship. Mentorship is I will only take you so far. Discipleship is I'm going to go all the way. When someone is discipling you, they show you, all of them. When someone is mentoring you, they show you a portion of them.
Now, you know what, that's really, I really like the way you describe that. Someone mentoring you is just showing you a portion
of their life.
And when God has called us into discipleship. So would you say that your friend Bert showed you mentorship or discipleship?
Oh, it was definitely discipleship.
Let's talk a bit about that and how that was exercised through you all's friendship.
How was it exercised?
Yeah.
Phone calls, emails, personal visits. I mean, I spent time with him. I was in his home. I worked with him. He showed me life. He showed me things. Okay, and from what he showed me, he gave me an opportunity to walk it out in my own life. Okay. So he demonstrated to me what life looked like, and that's what I did. That's what I saw with him. Probably for more than 30. Okay, so let's just do the math. This is 2020. I met Bert probably in a certain time. Disciples are to replicate, so that the disciple ought to be the one to become the teacher who disciples others. Yes. So true. I've known Bert probably more than 30 years. Okay. Let's say I met him in 80, and then that's 90 in 2000. That's 20. And in 2020, 40 years? I didn't meet him in 80. Oh, almost 35 years.
Oh, wow. So let's go back to this. Maybe we may have skipped just a bit. Tell me, how did you meet Bert?
I met Bert at Christian Life Fellowship in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Okay. Christian Life was a church that we attended together in Baton Rouge, and I met him there and got started. Really, I met him, and he needed someone to cut his yard and to do yard work. So I went from working in his yard to working in his law office. I went from lawn care to lawyering with Bert. My first law office job was in Bert's law office. Wow. And I remember we were out under one of his trees in his yard one day, and I said, the subject came up about lawyers, and I said, all lawyers lie. And he looked at me, he said, some lawyers lie. And then he
Mm.
really pushed back hard on that. And from that day forward, I've realized that, you don't want to speak with such generalities. You want to speak with very specifically.
Okay, so from there you learned something about what was that particular lesson
Well,
that you say? Because we're talking about the lessons that you learned from Bert,
I've, I've,
paying tribute to
I've
him
learned
today.
I've learned to not make general statements about all people
All people.
in any particular category.
Wow.
Be more specific and talk about the specific people as opposed to making general statements about
Okay.
what all people and everybody and so forth. Okay, yeah, wonderful church, Christian Life Fellowship. That's correct, Pam. Beautiful, beautiful. Another saying that can be divided into three quotes: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. Yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to tell us something else? Tell us about. Tell us. You say Bert was a lawyer also.
Yeah, Bert was a lawyer, but
Okay.
I think more importantly, Bert was a father.
Mm-hmm.
He is a father of 4 daughters,
Mm-hmm.
husband of Jane, and husband of Linda. And
Okay.
I think the thing that I learned most about him, of course, was his fatherhood. The man loved his daughters, he loved his family, and he showed me how to love. And he taught me the love of Jesus through how he showed his family love.
Okay.
He prayed constantly. Today at the funeral, the daughter
Wow.
read his prayer list. She said he had a journal and he had all the names of all of his children on that list that he called out before God. And she said, I want everybody whose names I call to stand up. Hello, Louise Johnson. Good to see you.
Hi.
Hello, Louise. Good to see you. And she said, I want everybody whose names I call to stand up.
Mm-hmm.
And so she began to call all the names of all the family members that he prayed for. And then at the end of the list, she called Fred Jones and Fred Jones Jr. and Jonathan Jones. He had placed our names on his prayer list. That's just how close we were.
Yeah. You know, when I did hear the list of names, and I started looking around in the congregation at the number of people that he had placed on his prayer list, you would be amazed at the number of people. When she said call, it was so many people in that church that stood, whose name was on his prayer list that she found. She said she found it near his bedside. That he was praying for, and that was a prayer journal that he had.
Yeah.
And that's a really good thing that even us today,
Yeah.
with our prayer journal, not just including just ourselves, and like you said, your name,
Yeah.
your son's
Yeah.
name,
Yeah.
he had taken on you guys as family.
Yeah. Yeah.
He prayed for you all with his regular family and those close friends.
So my question to you, you out there, who are you praying for? So what I
Yeah.
want you to do right now is put the initials of at least 5 family members that you're praying for in the comment box. Those of you who are listening right now, put the initials of 5 people, and put as many as you want in the comment box, and we're going to pray for them at the end of the broadcast. We're going to pray over them at the end of the broadcast.
So he taught you about family,
Yeah.
the closeness of family. What and you know, there's something I hear also. It took discipline also in that prayer life of his.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
tell me about some other discipline rules that he maybe taught you in your lifetime, during your lifetime as friendship with him.
Well, he taught me the discipline of watching your tongue.
Ooh,
Watch your tongue.
why is that important?
Okay. He taught me how
Wow.
to halt. Never make a major move when you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Okay. Never say something when you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or stressed. Why is that important? Because we should measure twice and cut once. Okay. Actually, you should measure thrice and cut once. Measure 3 times before you cut. Here's what Bert taught me. I remember one time I was getting ready to resign from a university, and I was a bit angry. I was frustrated with those people, and I really wanted to just give it to them. And so I had gone to the store and I bought these 2 little plants that I was going to use as props because I was going to give my presentation. And I had one plant that was very withered. It was leaning over, it was drooped over. And then I had another plant that was standing up real firm, real strong. And what I wanted to say was that when I came here, I was withered over like this. Now that I'm leaving, I'm standing up strong. And I said, now the reason why I'm standing up strong is because this plant has grown in some real soil. Now I'm from the country, and we use cow manure, or we use chicken manure, or horse manure, all of that kind of stuff. That manure makes things grow. And so my point was, I was frustrated with those people, and I was going to tell them they had been the manure to make me grow. And so I remember getting on the phone calling Bert, and I called Bert, and I was telling him I was on my way in. I said, Bert, this is what I'm going to say, and this is what I got. And I said, I just wanted to tell you about it. And I remember standing outside of the building. On my way into the building, Bert says, Fred, you are not going to do that.
Okay.
You are not going to do that. You cannot burn a bridge like that. That will hurt your career forever. You cannot do that. He stopped me right in my tracks.
Wow.
From going in, telling someone off that could have damaged my career for the rest of my life. That's one particular situation where he taught me to hold my tongue. Another situation where, oh man, there are so many times that things will happen in the news, or things will happen, particularly with police brutality. Okay, police brutality cases and so forth. And here's what he taught me. This was good. He said, Fred, hey, we see those initials. Okay, y'all go ahead and put those names in there, and we're going to be praying over them. We're going to definitely be praying over them. Lanier Creer, we see it. Saria Van Horn, we see that. Pam Myers, we see that. Louise Johnson, we see that. Thank you. I'm talking about life lessons I learned from my dear friend Bert Robinson. So I remember, police situations, and I would be so upset. He taught me this. He says, Fred, what is the number one objective of a police officer when he or she comes onto a scene? He said, the first thing they got to do is take control.
Wow. Okay.
And ever since he told me that, it makes so much sense. And so this is why, unfortunately, we see a lot of stuff going on in the news, is because when people resist coming under control, it makes the job of the officer harder.
A bit harder, yeah.
So I will say to anybody and everybody, always resolve that you're just going to obey the police, because you're going to have a better chance of coming home alive if you just obey them.
So tell me this. I hear you're telling me that your action that you were taking is that you were listening to your friend because you respected this friend.
Yeah.
Can you say those things were true? And how did you learn to gain respect such as this from your friend?
Help me understand.
The respect of listening. Sometimes we've got friends that could tell us to go left, but we're going to go right anyway. How did you gain? What was it about him?
What was it about Bert that made me respect him and hear him? Number one, I knew he cared about me.
Yeah.
I knew he cared about me. Okay. I saw him demonstrate that care. Yo, go ahead and put the names of your loved ones in the window that we're going to be praying about. I knew he cared about me, number one. Number two, I knew he wanted for my good.
Okay.
I knew he wanted for my good. And number three, I felt that he was being honest with me. Okay. So he cared about me. He wanted for my good. And I felt he was being honest. And as a result, I was able to listen to him. And it helped me out of a lot of difficult situations.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that we should, if we're going to have friends, we would say, you want friends that care about you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Friends that look out for your good. Yeah.
And you don't want friends who always agree with you. Okay.
Ooh.
You don't want people who always agree with you. You want somebody who will tell you when things are not right on your end. And that is very, very important. Okay. You want somebody that will tell you when things are not right. And that's what he would do. He would tell me when things are not right. Now, the most important thing about Robinson was this. The man loved the Lord. He loved the Lord, and he wanted to see people. Artilla Dixon, we see those names. Yeah, we see those names. Go ahead and put all the initials of your loved ones, and we're going to pray for them before the end of the broadcast. We're going to call your names, and we're going to pray for them. But what was I saying there? Okay, all right. So
that slipped my memory right there too.
You want somebody that you don't always want somebody you agree with. You want somebody that will be strong enough to disagree with you. That's one of the biggest challenges we have. Is when everybody agrees with us, that's not going to be a good look. Because if they just agree with you, then you don't even need their opinion.
They just let you go and do things that sometimes you hurt yourself with.
Right.
So you want friends that will challenge your thoughts sometimes.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay. Tell me something. I think one of the things that I hear you say oftentimes that Bert learned. You learned from Bert how to exercise your voice. What was so important about that?
Well, you got to know what you stand for. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Okay, and exercising your voice is being true to who you are. I remember one day in Bert's office, I was on Old Hammond Highway down in Baton Rouge, and I remember Bert had somewhere to go or to do something, and he said this. He said, "I've reserved the right to do what I want to do at this stage of my life."
Okay.
I heard voice there. He reserved the right to do what he wanted to do at that stage of life. Now, what I believe he was also saying was he reserved the right to serve God freely in that season of his life. He wanted people to know God. He wanted people to have the salvation experience. And he spent the last years of his life were dedicated to asking people, do you know Jesus?
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you about. At the services today, there was one thing that I heard his daughter, along with many of you, the others, say that he would often ask a question so boldly. Even when he met you, the question he was going to ask you was, do you know Jesus?
No, yeah. Do you have you accepted Jesus as your Lord?
Yeah.
He would ask people, may I ask you a question? Have you accepted Jesus as your Lord? Do you know Jesus as your personal Savior? Something to that effect. And that was who he is. That was who he is. My relationship with him, we spoke almost at least once a month. Almost, I at a minimum of once a month, if not 2 to 3 times a month, over the last 15 or 20 years. We had some level of contact on that level of frequency over the last 15 to 20 years, or maybe even longer, but at least once a month on the average. If you average out all the times that we either talked or emailed one another or saw one another, it would average out to at least once a month or so. Every month or every it was often. It was frequent.
Well, I can tell it was really quite frequent that you guys did communicate, because there were several people that came up that knew you from the emails. They knew you from emails that you had with in conversing with him.
Yeah, I spoke to him, and when we would talk, I'd tell him that, hey, and Robinson was different from me. He had his thinking was different and everything. And I say, Bert, I love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. And we would laugh, and he'd say, Fred, I love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So I think he taught me the concept of unconditional love. And I think we're living in a time where that's very valuable right now. So often we think we need to love people that believe like we believe, think like we think, act like we think, and so forth. Folks, it ain't that way. You see, I think that the more we value everybody, show love to unconditionally love everybody, and then encourage people, the better off we all are going to be.
Oh, wow.
Regardless of what someone believes or don't believe.
That is so
Okay,
true.
regardless if they're left or right and everything. You just can't run around mad at everybody and think you're going to have an impact on people's lives. I don't think that's the way Jesus operated.
Amen. Lastly, let's talk about this. You said that I've often heard you say that he taught you how to be a leader. Talk about leadership. How did he teach you? What was it you learned from Bert Robinson about leadership, being a good leader?
Well, Bert was a good provider. He was a father. He provided. I saw his work ethic.
Okay.
He worked, and he was there for his wife. He taught me the word indispensability. Okay, indispensable is the word. When you become indispensable, you're just irreplaceable. And he taught me, be indispensable, and be the husband, be the father, be that person there for your wife and your family. And he showed me that, demonstrated that through his work, through his walk, and through his worship at Christian Life and at other places that I saw him worship and live. He walked that out before me, and through prayer.
Yeah.
I think that was the big one through prayer. He lived the life of prayer, and he showed me leadership by the way he prayed, not only for me, but he prayed for my children. I would get on the phone during the times that we would talk to him, and he would say, "How's Freddie?"
Yeah.
Or "How's John?" And he would ask me from a very, very sincere place. And that's one of the things that I would take away from today. The funeral today is that a caring for every one of you, a caring for your children, a caring for you.
Yeah.
And that's something that Loretta and I want to do and right now for all of you. Okay?
Yeah. Anything else you want to, talk about with him? Because what I do remember from the services today is the caring that his grandchildren, the respect of calling him what they called him Abba.
Abba.
Abba. Yeah, Abba. And how much they really loved and respected him. And along with the children, his daughters that were there, the respect and love that you can just actually see. I think I met Bert just before we got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, and was just a great man. He and his wife, as I remember. And what I saw from him was just a great friendship between the both of you, a caring friendship where he was concerned, he was happy for you, and I could just see so much of that just displayed today at the service.
Yeah. The last thing that I would like to say is I like the way he walked out his faith, the way he demonstrated his love for Jesus, and the way he made that the priority of his life in the closing years and days of his life, telling other people about Jesus, telling other people about the love of Jesus. And so I want to challenge all of you here today is to renew your commitment to tell others about Jesus.
Yeah.
And so that's the most important thing that any of us can do, is talk about our walk with the Lord and our love for the Lord and how we demonstrate and show that to so many people. And just paying basically a tribute. We know that you're looking at. We want to know, how can we pray with you today? We want to pray for your children today, okay? So we're going to go up, scroll up, and we're going to look at these comments here. LW and AT. We're going to pray. Jesus, I thank you for Louise, and I thank you all that you're doing and all that you're going to do in the lives of these that are in this broadcast right now. IA, AC, JC, CC, MC, DL, AL, WR, RS, and LC. In